Are we live? We are live. Got it.
Got it.
We are live. All right, welcome everyone. Betu washte chichi yapiye relatives. Those of you joining in, we have Michael Patton. Everybody, welcome to Racing Magpie's Winter Camp series. So a little bit about the Winter Camp series. It's a program that is reimagining the Lakota Winter Camp model of problem solving and community building in our world today by examining the deeper reasons why Lakota people do the things that they do and why and how we interact with the universe around us, them. As plants and trees focus on their energy on building strength and growing from the roots during the wintertime, our community will join and strengthen and grow together each year through sharing and learning. So with that, we have a younger emerging artist, Michael Patton, with us, and his show today is called The Personal Path of a Printing Patton. We kind of joked. He didn't think you probably didn't think I was gonna use that title, huh? I wanted
No,
to
that
give
was
give it some cool, fancy Lakota name.
yeah. I was trying to think of something. I was like, let's do something that has the same beginning letter. There's a word for that. I don't know what it is.
I don't. Yeah, there is. I didn't pay that much attention in English class, but tonight we have Michael Patton at Oglala. Oh, I can't even talk. A wild Oglala. We'll just say that he's self-taught in. Am I saying this right? Serigraphy.
So I'm not sure about that
Oh,
word either.
graphic design and airbrush. Since 2010, Michael has operated on the Pine Ridge Reservation while facing economic challenges as a one person small business owner. The focus and vision for the LAS or for Lakota Art Studios is his business name. It's rooted in the accuracy of Lakota representation and a lifestyle while balancing contemporary design influences in Lakota Art Studios' works. Through the arts, Patton strives to bring anything and everything about being Lakota to the forefront, whether it is in the designs themselves, the creative process, and or the relationship between those. So yeah, in some of your shirts, your screen prints and stuff, I'm wearing one. If people can see it, you have the traditional parfleche designs. Pretty neat. So yeah, just let's talk about how you started, like how young were you when you're like art art is my life, it's my thing, so it's gonna get me through.
Hmm. Well, we could go to the dawn of time. 10,000 BC when I was writing on the cave walls.
All your lives before.
Yeah, in my past life. No, as a kid, I used to like to be creative. I lived with my grandma, and she was an educator. She was a creative woman, spiritual herself, and that's kind of where the beginning of my influence was. I just like to draw, be creative, and she would see that, so she would support by just giving me art supplies. And through high school, that's when I just really started to draw. um, I wanted to my first influence was, I would like cars, so I would look at magazines like Truck and Magazine or Lowrider Art, and I seen the airbrush work on there, and I never knew airbrushing until I seen that. So one day I thought, someday I wanted a custom paint shop. So I started out through high school sketching. Uh, there was a few opportunities my junior year, my senior year to draw a design for a poetry book, and a few of the teachers asked me because that artwork was, like the big thing. I still did my homework, but I don't, sometimes I don't remember all the teachings that I got. I just remember drawing my way through high school. And I think it was the summer of my junior year, there was a airbrush artist who had his own studio in Pine Ridge, And I approached him one day and I showed him my drawings, told him that I wanted to airbrush, and he was pretty impressed by how I was sketching. So, I asked if I could volunteer my time, work around the shop, clean up just to get some practice in. And so that's where I kind of got my start as airbrush artist. And I volunteered my time. I didn't get paid, but I was able to, be introduced to the airbrush. He would teach me. And when he had jobs that would come up during the summer, he hired me to actually help him paint. Uh, we painted Sioux Nation. The airbrush artwork on there now isn't what I did, but before we painted the entire building. So had a little bit of commercial work into it.
Yeah. And
And
that was in
so
high school?
yeah,
All right.
so
So,
so, but I mean, even a little bit of time after high school, I volunteered my time a couple of years with him, but um, it wasn't till a few years after I graduated is when I approached airbrushing again, and I started airbrushing t-shirts. So t-shirts were my beginning, or airbrushing t-shirts is my beginning of getting into screen printing too. It's my introduction. I
so um, when you airbrush it, for those who don't know who are in the art world, what explain that process and how is it different? Explain the process of airbrushing and then how's it different doing it on a shirt than on canvas?
Well, airbrushing, you mix up your paint. It's a airbrush that's powered by air. You hook it up to an air compressor. You put the paint in. You got to thin your paint out. Kind of depends. There's different types of paint, but it would be you could either create stencils and you spray the paint onto the t-shirts. I wish I had an example to show, but I don't really have any work from back then. And so most of it could either be stencil work or freehand work. And that's where, like you got to know like some shading, shadow, light effects. Those what come into play when you do some airbrushing.
Nice, nice. So, and then your mentor, your Mr. Miyagi. So you had to
Yes.
wax on and wax off your way to airbrush or what?
Yep. He was I think there was the first time I actually did some airbrushing myself, and I made some money for the first time. And I took it to him and I was like, "Here, I got some. I paid my dues. I paid for the t-shirts, the paint, gave him some money, split what I made." He just looked at me, was all impressed and everything. So that's why that was actually before he asked me to help him work
Uh-huh.
in the future. So that was kind of my introduction to it.
Nice, nice. So then that led to your screen printing.
Yeah, a few years later, because I had my airbrushing shop up in White Clay, and there's an opportunity for a screen printing machine for me to pick up on a screen printing machine. I was talking with someone with through Lakota, yeah, Lakota funds, and I was like, I seen an opportunity there, and I was like, I just thought, just bigger ideas, bigger vision, actually having a better quality, t-shirts, clothing brand. And they were asking me, well, do you know how to screen print? I knew nothing of screen printing, but I was like, yeah, I know, I have a little bit of experience, so I jumped on the opportunity right then and there before it disappeared.
Dang. So when you decided to take advantage of that opportunity, who did you seek out or did you just teach yourself how to screen print?
Well, luckily at the time, YouTube started to become a big thing. So I got a lot of my information on YouTube on how to do it. I've seen like a little bit of the process, so I kind of knew how to like burn my screens. And burning screens is basically you make your stencil for your print. And, I just knew about how to coat the screen, how to expose it under light. I just knew a little bit, just enough to get started. So, everything was like basically trial and error from that point on.
Okay, so what kind of screens do people out there might think, oh, you're just taking your screen off your window or something like that.
Well,
And it
well,
well, it's kind of like that, but
yeah, I mean, yeah, the mesh that goes on the frame, it
yeah,
basically is a screen, and it's just like if you look at the screen on your windows, they're all they're
yeah.
woven and everything. That's basically how it is. And so, yeah, the frame, it stretches over the frame, and there's like this emulsion, they call it. It's kind of like a glue. It stays a little flexible, but when you expose it to light, it's a photopolymer. So when it's exposed to UV light, it hardens. And that's how you create, like, if you just got to cover it with something and block the light out. And then what's blocked out from the light, that won't harden. And then once you turn the light off, put water on it, it'll soak back up. And then that's how the stencil is created through that.
Nice. And you taught yourself all that just off YouTube.
Yeah, there's a few companies out there that was starting to get their start at the
Yeah.
time, so they had instructional videos. So I kind of got some free education at the time.
Ray's on. He said, "Yo, I'm wearing your golf shirt. Bish
Nice.
work, Cola." Those, yeah. Shout out to Ray. How you doing?
What up, Ray?
Can't wait to see that finished mural. You'll have to post pics since I'm not down there anymore to see it in person. Nice. So how long did it take you to learn that process from, okay, you had this opportunity, right? You knew a little bit about the art of screen printing, and then how long did it take you from that moment to watching those YouTube videos to really get into it and know, hey man, I know what I'm doing and I can start doing more.
Well, back then I just had all the time in the world. I mean, I still do, but I pretty much, from when I woke up to when I went to bed, I spent all that time in the studio. I just tried, just kept working, kept going through a bunch of supplies, but it didn't take me very long. You
Really?
know, yeah, I mean, I think not even a few weeks to at least to because all I really had to do was figure out the timing to do the
Yeah.
screens and timing on how to dry the ink under the heat, and everything from there was just coming up with some funds for getting extra supplies like t-shirts.
Nice. So how young were you then? Just right out of high school or?
No, that was 2009. I think I was
Oh,
26 years old.
okay. And then when did you right then were you just thinking, when did you, where was your aha moment like, wow man, I could take my art to the next level and make, Lakota art studios?
Well, it took me a while to come up with Lakota Art Studio. Uh I think at the time my studio, I named my studio New Generation because it was just the new studio. But after a while, I kind of really started to want it to reflect like some our own traditional designs and put that into a modern day Lakota design work for the way we dress, but
Mhm.
more contemporary, modern. something everyday wear for us. So that's I think it wasn't until 2012 when I called it Lakota Art Studio. Start going from there.
Uh-huh. Nice. For chubby girls, you got to start moving the V-necks.
Yes.
The V-necks. You'll sell out. You'll sell out. I'm telling you. You'll sell out. So was Next Generation, and then what was there something that happened or anything when you decided to switch to Lakota Art Studios?
Well, I was always influenced by, well, there wasn't very many like native clothing lines at the time. Like,
Mm-hmm.
well, I mean, some big names were starting to get their start at the same time, but I really just wanted to, you know, I wanted to make streetwear for our people. So, that's when I decided to, I need to do something, because I don't just produce t-shirts, I do different
Yep.
other artwork. So, Lakota Art Studio, it's kind of a long name, but that's when I
It's a good
decided,
one. It's a good one.
oh yeah,
So,
thanks.
because you do beadwork, right? You do different cultural mediums, is kind of what I call them, cultural mediums, because you do beadwork, and then you also carve, right? Buffalo
Yeah.
horn. Yep, and you have some with you. I saw on your story on Instagram you were working on some things.
Yeah. Well, here, a buffalo horn right here is an example. I don't know that. This one is a work in progress, but I start getting into, well, it first started like probably about six six years ago. I wanted a buffalo hide for myself. I seen how expensive they were, and I just thought, I have some extra time. I wanted to learn how to do leather work myself. So I just wanted to get into those just to get the knowledge of it, so that maybe one day if somebody asks me, I could pass on the knowledge. It's just to kind of keep it alive, be another person that keeps that art form, the old traditional ways kind of going. The buffalo horn spoons are maybe about 3 years ago. Start
Did
looking into other things.
did you teach yourself that too, or did you seek someone out in the community down there to kind of show you?
Uh, with the buffalo horn, well, yeah, with the leather making, I had to ask a few people, a few other people, but like you can't really find that information on YouTube. I really had to
Yeah.
learn how. That was ask a lot of questions. Had trial and error as well. I seen I actually did a buffalo hide once where it was wet, and I seen some people throwing flour on it. So I what I thought was flour. So I threw flour on it, and I didn't know that flour and water turns into a glue. So I kind of messed up my first hide by making it all sticky the first time.
That's
So,
paper mache 101. The flour and the water.
well, at the time I was doing that, I was like, I I know this. No,
I know
no,
I did
no.
this.
Yeah, but then it turned out all sticky, and I was like, oh wait, that it? Oh well. So I did my best to try to scrape it off. So it was a
Yeah.
good learning process.
Nice. Was it a big hide?
Yeah, that's another
Man,
thing.
the
Don't it?
heartbreak. The
Yeah,
heartbreak. Dang.
yeah. I went up to there's a place up in Rep City. I got a couple buffalo hides. Don't ever try to make a buffalo robe out of the big bull hides, because those are heavy, man. It's a man had to. real workout trying to work with those ones.
Nice.
Got
Right
to
on. So you taught, so then you start tanning hides, right? So when did you finally realize that wasn't flour that they were putting on those hides?
I went back to YouTube and seen that video again. I think it was corn flour or cornmeal or something they were putting on.
It's cornmeal. It has that because cornmeal kind of has that rougher texture, and then it absorbs some of the moisture from that hide, so it kind of dries it out. Just scrape away.
Yeah, yeah, that's what I was trying to do. I was trying to get those hides dried out the best way I could.
Yeah. Well, I know I don't know about buffalo hides, but I know when I used to skin porcupines, salt, was really good on curing those hides and stuff. But I don't. If anybody has any info on buffalo hides, but you can also. Did you ever try to bring tan one?
Yeah, I tried a couple of times. Use neat's foot oil.
Uh-huh.
I never really got a chance to get the brain. I did a couple of I I tried to, but I was just never really deer hunted myself, so I wasn't able to get the brains. I just bought the hides from other hunters.
Oh, I probably would have threw it. Whoops. So you do that, and then when did you get into beadwork, or have you always done beadwork?
Um, no, I never really did beadwork myself. I just wanted a medallion myself, but I just didn't really have the money to pay somebody to do one for me. So I kind of just same thing, some research on how to do it so I could do a couple of, do some swag for myself.
Yeah, right on. Nice. It always seems like guys are the best beadwork artists too. Maybe I don't know. I don't know what it is, but they they do a lot of good beadwork. So out of all the mediums, what do you have a top one, or you just like to do them all?
Well, I think just my number one main product is my t-shirts. That was the main focus of my small business. So I stuck with that. It's just whenever I have some extra time, I was just do some dabble in anything and everything just to stay busy.
So back to the printing. When did it take you a long time, like years, or when did you start getting perfecting your skills in your art form?
I think I think it's 2012 or 2013 when I came out with my sitting bull design. It's a kind of a two color design.
Yeah, do you have one?
Um,
Promote yourself. Promote yourself.
this one right here. Let's
Oh
see.
yeah, that's nice. So what do you do? Do you sketch out your design? Oh, you can.
Oh, oh, my blue
That's cool. You
screen's kind of
disappeared.
messing up.
Oh, nice. That's a good one. So
Yeah.
do you sketch your drawings out before you put them on screen, or how do you do that?
Well, there's a lengthy process. Basically, you're making a positive of your film, like this right here, and it's to
Yeah.
block out the light when you're making your screens. That blue screen's preventing me from everything. Some of my designs, you you could use a design program to create everything, but I never perfected Photoshop. It always, it annoyed me because you couldn't make a simple straight line. I mean, there's ways you can, but everything everything I would do, I would draw it out, and I would use a black marker. scan it, and that's how I did my graphics. I'd basically do my color separations by hand. And so most of my designs, some of them you could tell that, I sketched them out by hand or use a paintbrush to make my positives. And that's
So
actually
when
how
you say positives, what there's because you have to use the UV light and stuff like that, or what?
yeah, it's basically if you're just trying to block out the light.
Hmm.
And so like you could put your hand over it, block that light out for like 12 to 16 minutes, however long it takes. And then if you remove your hand, you wash out your screen, your hand will be in your handprint, but it'll be, just whatever blocks the light. Actually, this picture right here, my first Sitting Bull design. And this one I did, my screen.
Geesapa is talking the.
Oh, yeah. Well, oh, there you
Well, they
go.
can go to your Instagram site and check it out. Oh yeah, there
Yeah,
you go.
yeah.
Yeah.
But
Oh wait,
I did.
so how long does it take you? So does it take you a long time to? Because that's those both them Sitting Bull sketches are pretty nice.
Thank you. That first one, I did a transparency paper and I actually painted that by hand. I did the black paint over the transparency. That's how I made it. But when you do the other ones, you get the printer that prints the black ink, and that's just that's kind of a process. There's a lot to it. But yeah, I mean, some designs I do by hand, some designs I, was able to make some designs by getting that trial uh, graphic program. But mostly I just, however way I could do it, adjusting to what I got at the time.
Yeah, using the resources around you
Yep.
available to you. So how long were you down in? Did you have your printing press down in White Clay?
Uh, while I was renting from, there was a guy that owned the building, and I was just doing work for him, and he remembers me from back in the day. He used to be a principal at this small school that I went to, and he was looking for an artist to paint some quotes on the walls. So I stepped up and I told him I could do some painting. And then after that was about 2008, and I told him about airbrushing, and I worked for him, and then he let me use a little space there. So I was a little space for to draw, paint, everything there. And I did that for about a year, and then that's when the opportunity for the screen printing press came along. So I was up there for about maybe 2 years, 2 or 3 years, to about 2011 or so, and then decided to move out of there because he sold the building to somebody else, and they no longer wanted to rent the space out. They were trying to open something else, some sort of thrift store or something like that.
And then you just moved everything into your place?
Well, that was kind of like a struggle. After that, I never was able to find a place to rent or anything. So, I moved around to like other family members, places, whatever, if they had a space that they'll let me use, so I pretty much moved around. It's kind of nomadic for probably 5 years,
Yeah. Just
because
threw your printing press on your back and
yeah, it's a big machine too, so takes up quite a bit of space. So I'd break the machine down, go set it up, do some runs, and then break it back down and move to the next place.
So when okay, you're done with your design and you have it on the film, then what's the next step?
Trying to get some sales. One of my
Right on. So do you buy your t-shirts in bulk, like, or wholesale, and then do
yeah,
your printing on
I
that?
yeah, often I just go out and get, well, I relied on separate orders from everyone. You know, at the time I was offering the service to anybody that was looking for t-shirts. So that's how I would, just when I ordered the t-shirts for them, I'd order a couple extra, something to practice on, make some designs, try to do whatever I can to, show others, have examples of how I always kept trying to bring up my quality just so I could get other sales out there in the stores. And so I would just build up small batches, get out there and, just wholesale to local gift shops and then just build from there, really.
So when did you do like a lot of orders for schools or tournaments and things down there, or is it just kind of always like the small hustle of just starting out?
Yeah, it was pretty much a small hustle. It was, I think, like the largest order I've ever done was like 600 t-shirts. And most times, they, some places want the t-shirts like right away. So I wasn't able to like produce a whole lot right away. So I kind of was limited on how much. And it always depended on like how soon they wanted them, how complex the design was. It was just really quick, real fast, just whatever I can, however I can. And yeah, I think like the largest order was just 600, but most of them I just kept it small, like 100, few hundred, as long as they gave me like maybe 2 weeks or so to produce.
So how long do you do it on your own, or do you have help when you have to do 600 screen printed t-shirts?
Oh, that 600 order, that's like the biggest one I've ever done. And I had to, they, my shirts didn't come in till that afternoon. The next day is when I needed that deadline done. So I stayed up all night long and it was like maybe 14 hours straight or 12 hours or so. I printed the shirts and I delivered them all the way to Wombly. Oh, I was so tired, but I got it done because I just starting out, I had to prove that I could do it. But it was a good learning experience. That's when I learned to, just start letting people know I need plenty of time.
Yeah, yeah, you can't. That's a lot of shirts to screen print. And did they just, so when you have one color, does it take long? And then when you add, so do you do one color, let it dry, and then have to do another color if you want more than one paint?
Well, the plastisol inks, you use a heater to dry them. So, you do one, do a flash dry. It only takes about like maybe 10, 15 seconds, but it's basically for when you put the next color down, you don't want that color to like be sticky. So it like transfers onto your next screen. So it could take, 15 seconds to flash dry, do your next color, take the shirt off, and then I put it under the heat. It's about, usually at 30 seconds or so. Sometimes it's maybe not that much. It really depends on like how high your heat is running. And they have conveyor dryer heaters where you just put it down and it runs through. But I only had a flash dryer, so shirts were only one at a time. So usually it takes anywhere about 2 minutes to print a t-shirt. Depends on colors as well.
So do you kind of think, there's crickets now, there's like mass productions of t-shirts, like people can just do their design and upload it and have it printed out. So do you, in a way, kind of think of screen printing as a dying art form, or what's your thoughts?
While while they have machines that are automated, these ones are hand sealed. So I actually blade the ink myself, but they have automated machines where they blade the ink. They also There's also what they call direct to garment printers, and that one is basically like a printer. You just put your t-shirt under and it'll print every color imaginable, every color available. But the way I do it, it's a stencil, single color, one at a time. So I mean the industry's growing, so I don't really think that it is.
I mean, like in the sense that you're a one-man show, other places have con like assembly lines or machines that mostly do all the work, whereas with you, you're making your drawing on the film, setting it all up yourself. Like, to me, that process, that creative process, and then your finished product are your t-shirt. So I think in a way, that wouldn't that be a dying art form, or getting modernized? I guess you're more old school.
Yeah, I mean, you nowadays you could outsource everything. You could find artists that can make designs for you. You could get the you could outsource machines that actually do the printing for you. So somebody like me, I create the design, I get everything ready, I make my screens, I print my own products, I you know, go out and try to get sales into the stores and everything. So maybe, I mean, you could get a pretty good team to make everything a lot faster, but I do everything pretty much myself, still kind of DIY or DIY or do it yourself. So yeah, I just do the process from the beginning all the way to getting it out to my customers. I do everything myself. Kind of saves money in the long run.
Yeah, because when you outsource, that's more time efficiency. Yeah, it's good, but if you think about like all the expense and the people you have to pay and things like that. So, after you do this screen printing, are you hitting a lot of artist events, or kind of take us on your path from you don't have a studio and then kind of getting back on track, or what's going on now?
Well, for a while, I just had a hard time, just finding the space. Uh, Finding retail locations are pretty much, zero here on the reservation. So I kind of kept it. Um, I I bought my own trailer a few years back. So I stuffed everything in my second room, my little office, and I just started working out of there. But another problem that I was trying to figure out is I wanted to, build my own house. So I got into construction. I went to OLC because they had a construction program. So for a while, I kind of started moving away from artwork, from everything, just to focus on getting that degree, I wanted to build my own shop and everything. And so I try to, I almost gave up on the screen printing, but I started moving towards carpentry. But when the COVID hit, the pandemic hit, lumber prices went skyrocketing. So that little business venture kind of start messed up at the beginning itself. So, while I was, you know, hidden away and, staying away from everybody, that's when I just start focusing on my artwork again, start getting back into it, and slowly start building up. It took a while, but I had to find some motivation for myself to get back into it because I just like to build, create, stay busy, and artwork is it's rewarding in itself. It's kind of yeah. I mean, I just being able to have something for yourself, create things is just kind of rewarding.
Yeah. Get up in the middle of the night and be like, man, I gotta make myself a t-shirt. Couple
Yep.
t-shirts. Do you ever think
Yep.
about doing any collabs with like Ray and Sheldon? They're cool, with graphic arts and getting in and screen. Ray, I hope Ray's still listening. This could be a good partnership, where you guys can just work together on some collabs and make some t-shirts and hoodies and powwow season's just right around the corner. You guys can start hitting that.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, that was kind of my vision since the beginning. I didn't just want to do it all by myself. I really wanted to open it up to anybody who did want to do work. Uh, just kind of be like the source because I just took I just stepped up to the opportunity to get the machine. I didn't want to, just like I said or like we said earlier, is just very time consuming. So I wanted to open it up to anybody who wanted to come in, just be available as a resource. But the problem is just that having a studio just to invite people so they could come in, show them the process. And that's kind of the challenge right now. We're still trying to find a studio space even to this day.
Well, they have OLA down there. Ray said, yeah, he'd love to collab. That'd be cool. It would almost be like you guys should start like a arts collective, a artist collective down there. Well, one is the space, and you guys are kind of spread out, so it'd have to be like a centrally located. Anybody from First People's Fund listening? They need a art collective space down there. Ray,
Yep.
you got ideas?
Ray's the graphic designer. I feel like my biggest strength is production, getting in there and actually producing the work. I
Hmm.
don't just do the artwork, but actually doing the printing itself. So, we need a graphic designer. I could do the production. Somebody could get out there and do sales. We need somebody who could write grants for us. We could have a whole
Right
big
on.
team.
Ray, does Felicia know how to write grants? She could do that. That would be cool to have a artist collective down there because you guys are really in a remote area where you're what, like an hour away from Rapid City, and or you might be away on even further, but there's a lot of resources in Rapid City, but I don't think the audience or people who don't know down there on the reservations in South Dakota, the resources are limited. And then if you're a screen printer, it's hard. Like I'm a beadwork artist. Even just to get beads when I'm back home, it's like I have to drive up here. Or I have to go check out the little quilt shop in Chamberlain, but the resources are even limited when it comes to those kind of arts as well. So that would be cool to kind of start a little artist collab with you guys down there.
Oh yeah. I mean, all my supplies I have to order online. Can't really go down the street to pick things up. So, you know, my t-shirts come from Denver, my emulsion comes from Texas, screens and other things come from Washington. So it takes time for everything to get here and also, to produce. And to even have a vehicle just to get out to retail stores or even follow the powwow trail. That's, it just takes a lot. So that's why I kind of, everything that I do is really small batch.
Yeah. Yeah, because if you make big batches and can't sell that inventory too, but I feel like you're getting at strides though. I saw you at that artist event. Um, when was that? At Racing Magpie there, and you got some pretty good business. Your stuff is good. It's good. You know, the way you mix your colors. Like I said, I'm wearing my Parfletch design one, which is cool. But I think sometimes, like you and I were talking before the show went live about how there's these very few limited spaces for emerging artists, or even the artists that are still trying to make it to the professional level. And to have those artist collaborations is good too, but to have a space where you can have a studio, or just have an artist right next to you that you can collab with and stuff. So yeah, I think that's where there's so much talent, but there's very few spaces there that offer the room to grow, you know? I don't know.
Yeah,
It's
definitely.
probably easy for me to say because I'm in the city now, but I know on the reservation there's no native owned, there aren't, are there any native owned like art galleries or shops down there on Pine Ridge?
Nope, not just the OLA space, but that's
Yeah. But do they have studios there like a
well,
gallery or anything where they showcase artists?
as far as I know, um, I don't know. That's not a question for me to answer. But
Yeah.
I've been asking
Where's my
for,
sister? She works. You been asking for one?
yeah, I asked for a space last year, but I'm just still waiting to hear word on if there's anything available. I think we're still living in COVID times, so times are slow for everybody, really.
That's right. Aren't you guys in didn't your tribal council, you guys are mask mandates again?
Yeah, last I heard, I don't really, I'm not on Facebook, so I don't even know what's going on around my community. Like as you can see behind me, I live out in the mountains, up in the hills.
Nice weather there too. Jeez. Clear
Yeah,
skies at 8 o'clock at night.
yeah.
Nice. Well, if anybody out there is listening that can kind of help make some things happen down there about artists, collectives, and space to for young emerging artists to kind of showcase their stuff, because it's hard when you have you're living in a space and it's hard to have a studio in your own home. Michael
Oh yeah.
Weston said, "You're just sacred, that guy living in the mountains."
I'm trying to stay up here. Every now and then, I bring whatever crafts, from right off the hills, bring them out to the world.
Right on, right on. Well, even so you're just making spoons, right? Just switch the subject real quick. Um, you're into your buffalo spoons. So how long does it take to carve one of those from horn?
Um, I, well, I spend like maybe a couple hours a day for maybe mm, a week time.
What do you
A
carve them
more
with?
uh well, first some of them I have to drill them out to get the shape,
Yeah.
and then just drill them out to get that shape out of there. Otherwise, I could sand them down, which still does take a lot of work. Use a Dremel to keep cutting, hacking, carving, and then keep smoothing, going down to finer grit sandpaper to make them just smooth and just to make them look nice.
Nice. And then polish them up. Did you know that if you melt the hooves and the horns of buffalo, that you can use them as a glue? That's what our ancestors used for glue.
That's how they make Jello too, isn't it?
We don't make Jello. We make wojapi.
Yeah.
Well, shoot, we have about 9 minutes. Does anybody have any questions for Mike here? Mike or Michael? I always call you Michael. It's the teacher in me. I used to be a teacher.
Well, sometimes I go by Michael just to be professional, but it seems to be easier to just call me Mike.
So Mike then?
Yeah. Either way, it doesn't really matter.
So kind of talk about your experience if you want to. You kind of started your art, taking your mediums into a small business, and then the pandemic. Now we're kind of still in the pandemic, and you decided to go off to school to develop more of your professional skills.
Well, I thought of it just to kind of like find something else to do. Not too much things going on here on the reservation. Um, I just thought maybe I'd go off to school, kind of like as a career move to find a new audience or learn something new. Basically, not much happening here, so I wanted to find something else. Uh, yeah, I mean, but I ended up coming back home for, health reasons, just a little time out to figure myself out and, decide I'll see take it day by day, see what happens.
Yeah, right on. So any new designs in the works? Or are you just yeah, or are you just I really like the parfleche you designed, and then you made some bags too, didn't you?
Yeah, yeah, made that Parflex design for some tote bags because I had some tote bags and I just thought, what could I do for this? Just kind of keep it traditional, a little modern. But right now I'm working on some new designs, hoping to they're really in the design process right now, get everything ready for the screens and I'm starting all over from the beginning. Got to bring up my inventory, some new prints for
Yeah.
more t-shirts for the new prints.
I know that's always the hardest thing is the marketing yourself takes so much time, it seems like once you get your inventory up. And I was talking to one of my coworkers. Those who don't know, I run an artist program here in Montana, but I think, I was telling her the one thing I think that is hard with indigenous artists, just with working with a lot of indigenous artists, is we have to market ourselves, but it's so hard because when you grow up on the res or you grow up in native communities, you're taught to be humble and you're not supposed to talk about yourself. And that's a challenge, I think. Do you feel like that's a challenge for you too, is all the marketing?
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, I could, every like even just telling people like I do everything from beginning to the final. I mean, I feel weird saying that because it starts to become me, me, me. I do this, I do that, and I don't really want the ego part of it. Like just like you said, it's just don't really want to brag because there's so many hard times that you fall into.
Yeah.
It teaches you to not have to brag and be all about yourself or anything.
Yeah. Well, if you join my program will do all the bragging for you. It will be a platform for you. I'll put a little plug in there. So get a hold of me after the show. Any
All
other
right.
artists out there too. But yeah, so we have about 5 minutes. Anybody have any questions? We have a few viewers. I don't know if there's any questions on live. Oh, hold on. Let me see here. Let me put my glasses on here. So how's the weather down there? Is it pretty good?
Yeah, it was really windy today. I think it was really windy a little bit ago too.
It's really windy today. I signed on my phone here. So anything else you want to share with us? What's next for the personal path to a printing patent? What's next? What's next for you?
uh, well, I'm just trying to come up with some new designs, really trying to get out there. I'm starting a new job, so hopefully, I'm kind of trying to get myself into a good routine for, personal reasons, kind
All
of
right.
like, oh, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. We have a question. So Michael Weston wants to know, is there a person, event, or memory that kept you going in the hard times where you felt like just putting down the work, but you thought a thought came like, oh, I can't quit?
Well, I think a year ago, I took time off of classes, and there was an opportunity for a poet mentorship that I took up last year. And working with some youth through poetry, that's really where I decided to get back to my artwork. So last year, it was going through some hard times, but that kind of got me out of bed really. So at the end of last year, the last few art markets that you've seen me, that was like me hustling all year long to get everything. So all those designs that you've seen, yeah,
Mhm.
that was just me just pushing forward to move and get back into it. So right now, I'm still trying to work on little details. I'll probably try to find some grants or maybe even a loan to get this shop going again.
Nice. You should with the poets you worked with, them youth poets, you should put their poems like on the back of your shirts with those designs.
Oh yeah, definitely.
That'd be
That
cool.
yep. I wanted to work with some. Just keep it
Yeah.
open to every artist that are out that want to collaborate and work, and you
Yeah.
know,
Get them going. Okay, so another Patrice, she said, wash day work. Do you have an art project that really resonates with you right now?
hmm, nothing that I could really think of. Uh, like lately, I've been drawn like a lot of thunderstorm type of things because that's kind of how you know, my so man, that's like a really broad question. So much is coming up to my mind, but yeah, I'm just like yeah, a lot of the like just a lot of chaos, kind of just making me compare myself to a thunderstorm out in the prairie. I'm all by myself, just causing causing firestorms with my lightning strikes. I'm just burning all old growth, making room for new. So yeah,
Nice. You know what that's telling you? It's telling you to start creating. Create
yep,
every day. Paint that scene. Draw that scene out. That's, I think, a lot of us artists, when we have those emotions and stuff, that the best thing is to get in back into your artwork and doing it. So that's pretty cool. But we'll have to collab. I'll sketch out a Dakota floral design and we'll see where it goes from there. I'll sketch. Well, when's the next time? I'll probably be down in Rapid for an in-person show for the winter camp series at the end of March. But I meant we can keep in touch and rate. Oh my God, it would be cool if you did like a line of artists. You know what I mean? Like a collab with you and Ray, a collab with you and I, a collab with the young poets with their our designs on the front and then the young poets on the back.
yep, yep. Well, yeah, definitely. I mean, just want to, my one of my goals right now is to really start reaching out and reaching out to other people because I really want to start getting this going, really start to actually grow and, get this to where I envisioned it, not
Hmm.
just me, but have it as a resource because I have this screen printing press. Because to me, I don't think of other artists as competition. I would rather work together, because
Yep.
we're all in the struggle together, so we might as well work together
For
because
sure.
our biggest strength would be working together as community, as people, like we always do.
Yeah, getting art back in out there, getting our youth, and they'd probably really take up on screen printing. That's not everybody's a beadwork artist, not everybody's a painter, not everybody's a drawer. And to me, this just opens the creative avenues for them too, like I've said in all these winter camp shows, like our native youth have it hard, and I always feel like the art would be their way out or will be their way out, you know? Getting them immersed in all this art and how they can just get it all out, keep their hands busy and their minds at bay and get it all out and keep that creativity going. So that's pretty cool. And always ask for help, Michael. I'm willing, whatever resources I have available to me to help young emerging artists. Like I said, that's my passion. I like working with young emerging native artists to kind of help them get to that next level. It's kind of where my expertise is. And the older artists, even other artists too, like definitely reach out to your creatives and your creative communities, that because we're all willing to help each other, just keep that in
Oh yeah,
mind.
definitely. Yep. I
Yep. And
mean, for
racing
me, it was
magpies
all.
always. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, well, I mean, my artwork was always a positive, creative outlet, that always moved me forward rather than, destroying myself and, falling down, wrong path. So that's why I kind of just want to, mentors guiding me. I just want to do the same thing just to pay it forward. I feel like it's a service. It's a service to our people for me to, extend what I know and what I got to help others as well.
Right on. All right, at 8:04, we're right at the hour. Like I said, all our audience out there, thank you for supporting Indigenous artists, being part of the creative communities, and helping all the artists, supporting them by buying their products. So where can they buy some of your stuff, Lakota Art Studio?
Well, right now I'm still trying to work on the website, having a shop, but my one my one social media is Instagram, Lakota Art Studio. You can find me on there. Um, in the future I'll probably, give some time to my website.
All right.
But most times when I post something on Instagram, that's when I have something available, or you know, drop a link for the gift shops that do carry my stuff.
Are there gift shops that carry your stuff?
Oh, there's a couple out there right now. The Heritage Center at Red Cloud, because I'm a Red Cloud alumni, so I
Nice.
force them to buy my stuff.
You shouldn't have to force them. Since you're an alumni, you should be able to create that partnership and for them to help you flourish, Just my 2 cents. That's just my 2 cents. I live out of state, so I could say stuff like that.
Yep.
Michael Weston said you're supposed to give a Bish Lakota a Keisha before we end.
Just my encouraging words out there.
Yeah, since you're in the sacred hills out there tonight.
Uh, don't ever let anybody limit you. Don't ever let anybody hold you back, not even yourself. You could always do it. just gotta, push yourself even if you don't feel like it.
Aha, stay. Some good words, good parting words. All right, everyone, all the audience out there, people on Facebook Live, thanks for joining us at Racing Magpie's Winter Camp Series. Coming up for March, we have Gerald Zephyr, that should probably be in the middle of March. We have Naomi Black Elk, and wrapping up the Winter Camp Series, we have the legend, Mr. Earl Bullhead, will be on Facebook Live with his songs and words of wisdom and humor and things like that. So thank you everybody for taking time to listen to Michael's journey here. As always, go on his Instagram, Lakota Art Studio, check his artwork out, and I look forward to working with you, and get a hold of Ray so you guys can collab, and we're gonna do a collab too. Thanks, Mike.
Yep. Thanks for this visiting time. I
Yeah, have a good
appreciate it.
night.
You too.